Hello and welcome to PubTalkTV. We're sort of like a conference panel meets happy hour, and you just never know what's going to happen. So we're very confident that tonight is going to be a blast. We're very excited you're here watching us. And I'll just start the introductions. My name is Kelsey Mackey, and I'm the author of Damsel Distressed. And I'm one of your two hosts this evening. The other is the beautiful Summer Heacock.
Woo! Why, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Summer Heacock. I'm an author of contemporary women's fiction, and I'm not wearing any pants. I will be hosting the Ask PubTalk TV with Kelsey along over at hashtag AskPubTalkTV.com. Or no, I screwed it up. Ask PubTalk TV over on Twitter. The hashtag. I give up. Token male correspondent. I quit. I'm done. I'm so done.
I am your senior token male correspondent. That is my youngest child screaming in the background. And I am Ted Fox, and I wrote a book back on that bookshelf. I'm writing YA now, which, as Jessica knows, is a funky adventure for me. But I love it. And I'm drinking grapefruit-flavored beer, which I'm hoping doesn't mess with my anxiety medication that says no grapefruit juice. So I'm hoping grapefruit-flavored beer is not the same as grapefruit juice.
It's so specific. And
now I'm gonna mute myself now so you can't hear my baby.
All right. So as always, if you have questions for any of our publishing pros, please make sure that you ask them on Twitter live during the show. You can always submit them through the website or via email throughout the weeks before the show, but if you're on Twitter now and you'd like to ask a question live, we're always accepting those, and Summer's always monitoring the stream. So I guess it's time to introduce our pros. We're very excited to have a special guest tonight, so I'm going to have her introduce herself first. We are very excited to have editor Amanda Shee.
Hi, so I'm Amanda. I work at Touch Your Perigee, which is an imprint at Penguin Random House. We do nonfiction, pretty wide range, and I am drinking whiskey.
Yay!
I love the ampersand.
Thanks.
Yeah. and the A glass.
Oh yeah, it's a very typographic household.
It's always great to have your name printed on your glass, so you can always keep track of it.
No one will steal it.
No, well, they'll try.
And if someone does, it's proof.
Exactly.
They'll try. That's how threatening that was.
Excessively threatening.
Well, our drinks are completely worth stealing, so all right, we've got some gin.
I don't know what I'm drinking.
I'll tell you now.
Okay.
We've got some gin. Cheers,
Yeah.
of course. Ice cubes from your freezer. Rose lemonade and grapefruit soda from Italy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the grapefruit tonight.
Mm.
It's
We're feeling better.
I was going to say, it's spring. Grapefruit.
Two kinds of people.
Two people, one headset. Let's go.
The most important part is the booze, but obviously introduce yourself too. We want to make sure everybody knows who you are.
There you go.
Oh, we're old hats. You don't want to hear about us.
But we don't wear hats.
Oh, we don't wear hats.
Sometimes we wear hats, and sometimes we wear pink.
Oh.
We wear pink on Wednesdays.
And we wear purple on episodes in January.
Yes.
That's true. My name is Roseanne Wells. I'm with the Jennifer D. Chiara Literary Agency. I am drinking whatever Jessica gave me.
Mm-hmm. Poison.
Poison. I have to build up my tolerance, so that no one can suspect it later.
Mm-hmm. This is actually one of those tests when you sign a client, you're like, choose a cup.
Oh, that is cold.
Kelsey and Ted lived.
Incredible.
But who did not make the cut? Yes.
You'll never hear from them again.
Well,
I'm just like a
looking for new
sin-timer. I've had a long day.
I'm looking for new representation from the grave. I did not survive my last literary agent.
You know what I learned today? I promise we'll get back on track, Kelsey. You know what I learned today? There's an app to detect paranormal activity. I am really questioning the science behind this, but apparently it exists. And the top 3 reviews are all like, yeah, man, it totally works. It's really scary.
And then the next 100 views are like, no way.
I couldn't load them. They somehow probably paid to have 3 fake like ghost
Yeah,
reviews.
totally.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, hello. I am Jessica Sinsheimer. Apparently, I'm crazy about ghosts. It's been a long week, you guys. I'm an agent at the Sarah Jane Fryman Literary Agency. Shut up, it's Monday.
I know. That's what's hard. Is it's been a long week.
Agents always have long weeks by Monday. I was posting screenshots of my calendar last week to prove it. Yes, agent with the Sarah Jane Fryman Literary Agency. There's probably more. Yeah. Cheese obsessed human. I like food.
What about your recent website project?
Oh, yes. ManuscriptWishlist.com 3.0 launch. This is very exciting. Yes, we had two people, Mike and Sierra, come from Silicon Valley to help us out and make it tech savvy. Everyone should join. We had a launch party. It was lots of fun. There were hashtag cookies. There will be more. Yeah.
I'm always here for hashtag cookies.
They were delicious.
They were great.
Awesome. So are we ready to get started with the first question of the night?
Yes.
Okay.
Tonight is an open question, no theme.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything.
Yeah. I really love AMAs on Reddit, so I think this is a really cool opportunity. I hope a lot of people send in questions. We have a few from the inbox, and Summer has some from Twitter as well. But let's start off with this one. Margot said we could use her name, so hello, Margot. This question says, I often hear advice that writers should stick to one genre and category, like middle grade only, or adult only, or romance only, and so forth. I'm told it's primarily for marketing and building readership and the relationships that agents have with certain editors. Is this true, or is there wiggle room for experimentation? Let's start with the agents, and then we'll go over to Amanda.
I would say you do not have to write in one category only. There are some caveats. Sometimes you might feel more comfortable writing under a pseudonym if you're writing really dark, sexy, gritty YA and picture books, so that your audiences sort of feel a little bit more separate. Or sometimes with adult category and children's, you can have a separate pseudonym. But I think it does influence your choice of agent. You want to choose an agent who hopefully would represent all the categories that you're interested in. And I don't think you should limit yourself at this point in what you're interested in writing.
I think it's really important to follow what you're interested in. I mean, if you absolutely love something, I think you should go ahead and explore that. Yes, of course, it's a matter of branding. Like if you're writing erotica on one hand and picture books on the other, you probably should use two different names. This, yes, is something that happens.
Erotica, but like
just branding yourself, making a consistent fan base for yourself, and you can have two separate fan bases. Obviously, it depends on your representation. Personally, I'm interested in so many things that I can't imagine that being an issue, but that really depends. Some people like to specialize so they can know a few things really, really well, and that's absolutely a valid way to go about it. So I think it depends who you're working with.
And there are authors who have more than one agent. Like their primary agent only represents nonfiction, which is a very popular category for agencies to be only nonfiction. And they want to write children's, so they go and get a children's book agent for their children's work.
Yeah, and Ted just switched from adult nonfiction to YA fiction, and that's going great. So, like, hey, proof it can work.
I have two
agents. He did not need to switch agents.
He did not need to switch agents because he's awesome.
And I'm glad you just said it was going great. That was good.
I haven't given you notes yet, have I?
That's right.
But no, the having two agents thing, I have two agents. It's not particularly uncommon. I know several people who do that for different genres or different reasons, like if they have a newer agent and then a more seasoned agent, kind of tag teaming at the same time. So lots of reasons.
But I don't think you should feel discouraged from exploring all of your options in what you want to write. However, nonfiction and fiction do have different requirements, right, Amanda? Like you would look for something different in your nonfiction inbox than we would look for in our fiction.
Yeah, I would never encourage someone to only write one thing. My only caveat as like the editor evaluating a submission would say, like, if say it's someone who has like a huge, really successful YA track record, but they want to write like an intensive nonfiction book about underwater basket weaving, and they have no no platform whatsoever related to underwater basket weaving, that's where my questions would come. Like, if you're gonna do something else, make sure you also have a background and a platform in that on which to build. And it has nothing to do with your other platform. It's just, what do you have? What are you going to offer to support what I would publish?
I really want to pre-order the book on underwater basket weaving.
I mean, yeah, one of my authors blurbed for it. It was excellent. Yeah. Amanda, would you go into a little bit more about like why your fan base from your successful YA series would not translate into a nonfiction book necessarily? Is there some sort of friction in carrying those fans over, or marketing issues, or?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a mixture of it's marketing issues and also, we can't guarantee that those fans are going to follow this author to this, random nonfiction book. And it's very case by case, as any submission is. Say like John Green decides he wants to do a nonfiction book, his fans are going to follow him because he's John Green and people know him. And his fans love him, not just necessarily his writing. But say you're someone who has a really successful series, maybe someone's not going to follow you to your nonfiction book about, underwater basket weaving.
So you're here for that book.
So it's more about the fan base carryover than anything. And if that author could prove, for example, that their fan base would follow them, that's a completely different story.
Like if they had written several YAs
about underwater basket weaving.
that happened to be set at a small liberal arts college that specialized in underwater basket weaving.
Written a bunch of articles or like done like BuzzFeed posts or whatever about
underwater
whatever their other interest is, and those had tracked well with their base, then that would be something they could do to show that these people are still interested in this other thing that they're also doing.
I want to see that listicle on BuzzFeed.
So much.
Top 5 worst things you could do for underwater basket weaving.
I was just
Number one.
Can we get us all scuba tanks?
17 underwater woven baskets that you need for your apartment.
Yeah. Cat sitting in underwater basket weaving.
Wait, is your apartment underwater?
Maybe if you live on
You
a house.
strap on your scuba tank, open the door, you're like, sorry, neighbors.
I mean, no, there is nothing practical about underwater basket weaving.
I love the direction that we've taken tonight. Like, I think we're doing the Lord's work here.
Yeah.
All right. How about a question that was emailed in? I think this might be from somebody anonymous. This is more for the agents. Is there a stigma attached to previously agented writers who are once again looking for representation? If so, any suggestions for minimizing?
I would say no stigma, but if I am interested in the book and we have a talk, I am going to ask, so what happened? Why did you part ways? Usually it's, something, Summer, I'm trying to talk, and
What
you're
I do?
like, posting.
I didn't Ted did. It wasn't me. It was Ted. I was
That's
just responding to this.
Yours was more noticeable because it had a lot of
Shut
T's
up.
and it was in all caps.
Yeah,
That's a lot of teas.
that's a lot of teas, Summer.
A lot of T's, Summer. Get it together, Summer.
Screenshot, put on Twitter.
So tired. He started it. Damn it.
So,
Oh, Ted's
Damn it.
setting. We can't not read that,
Stigma.
Ted.
Stigma.
Oh, I was just asking if they wanted me to take that question off Twitter next. That's not as
so
that's real. That was a real.
I don't think there's any stigma about having being previously agented, whether you sold a book with them or not. But I will ask, what happened, and it's usually because, miscommunication. Your styles of communication didn't mesh, or because the editorial feedback on your last book was not right, or they didn't connect to it, and so they were not interested in where you were growing as a writer or an author, or you didn't feel that they were growing with you, and so you part ways, which is and then if I know them, I'm going to call them and be like, yo, Jess, what happened? And you'd be like, oh yeah, she's cool. Or like,
She
no.
tried to poison me.
Yeah, she tried to slowly poison me. And I'll be like,
And it was
oh,
the bad
no.
kind of poison.
Yeah.
It wasn't fair. I drank both cups.
And I'll be like, oh no, I got a very high tolerance for poison, so I'm good. Or like, oh no, that's bad. So,
For a little bit of like real life application, I left my first agent for those exact reasons. We just, the genre thing didn't match up. Like it was a genre she really wanted to work with, but we weren't quite there on it. We parted on really good terms. And when I queried, all the agents that offered asked the same thing, like, so what happened? And it was, hey, we're still good buds, just didn't work out professionally. But there was no stigma. I had multiple offers literally within 24 hours of querying.
Yeah.
So I know so many people who've left their first agents or even their seconds and had no problem finding another one. So
Let's just say 24 hours is not normal. Can we just throw that out there?
Yeah. No,
Summer is special. We know summer is very special. I would say there's
no,
not
Summer just sent like a lot of money to these people. I bribed really hard, really.
Yeah.
And the AAR is like, yeah, no problem.
The AR is like,
Slap a 50 to the back of that query. I'm telling you, people, don't do that. In case that did not translate into sarcasm, don't actually do that.
No, don't send anything. I would say that there's not really a stigma. If anything, it can be an advantage because it's like, hey, someone else saw fit to represent you. Clearly, you are talented to a certain degree. They're willing to take a risk on you in terms of time. And I would second what everybody said, that it usually has to do with communication. A lot of people just have, there's so many communication styles out there. You need someone who lines up with you on so many different levels, and someone you're so comfortable with that you can just be like, hey, here's this crazy idea, what do you think? As opposed to feeling like you have to, I don't know, go to 5 or 10 CPs to be like, is this good enough to send to my agent? Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, some people are scarier than others. It's just a matter of who you feel comfortable with, who you feel comfortable growing with. We understand this. I have a lot of previously represented clients who were with other people. It didn't work out. I have some people who, you know, we parted ways because it didn't work out. We know that it's not always like a value judgment on you as a person.
Right.
I think the bigger question is the project that we're interested in, has that been on submission? Because that will limit our options a lot too. There are a lot of rules about who can see what. We don't want to break those rules. We want to respect the editors. Amanda, I think you can chime in a little bit about the rules at Penguin because we hear different everything all the
every
time.
house is set up a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of who can see what submissions is your question? Right. So, obviously, if this author has been previously published, then you have an option built in the contract, and then it's a whole other thing if you get into an auction situation and only an imprint within like the Penguin umbrella and the Random House umbrella are involved. If there's not a third party and it's just those two, then I think we can match, but we can't go above each other. So it becomes kind of the beauty contest stage.
That's interesting.
Well, and it's also a situation we don't want to make you uncomfortable because we know that a lot of houses can't like bid against each other, and we don't want you to have that situation where you're like, I want it, no, I want it too. Wait, we're colleagues, we were friends, but we want the same thing.
We're not anymore.
We don't want it to make it awkward for you, and so like I personally have this whole matrix of like this person can get this thing. When they say no, then this other person can get this. Like we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but we also want it to be in as many hands as possible at the same time.
Yeah.
So no publishing Hunger Games is what you're saying, which is really disappointing.
Yeah. Only Cage Match.
So
we've talked about this before, Summer. Publishing Cage Match.
I just like to be reminded. It's like a soothing bedtime story.
And some places, you can submit to multiple imprints.
If you
but
tell them.
if you go into an auction situation, they'll put together a house fit.
Yes.
And so it really depends.
And
on
with children's,
the house.
oh my gosh, like don't even get me started on the Harper rules. Like I just no. Reading groups within the imprint, like let's not even touch that next topic.
As we said, every house is run differently.
Let's just say it's incredibly complicated. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but that's why when we see that something's gone out, this is perhaps an issue.
Yeah, and sometimes it's better to just start fresh.
How's the baby, Ted? Are you ready for your question?
I am. I think she's giving me a window here. So this is from Adonna Washington on Twitter, who asked, if in working on an R&R, a writer completely changes the story, would it be okay to requery agents that have already said no previously?
You're making faces.
For me, it really depends on how drastic the story change is and why I said no in the first place. Because if you change the plot, but I'm still not connecting with the characters, then that's not going to do a lot for me. However, me as a person who sometimes has FOMO, the fear of missing out.
We all do.
I feel like it's a publishing thing.
Yeah.
I would rather see it than not, but that is not an industry standard. That is a personal thing for me. And sometimes this has happened recently where I read a query and I'm either like debating about it or I've deleted it, and then I see the pitch in a Twitter contest. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I want that. And then I request the pages, and then I read it, and I was like, oh, this is why I had passed on it, or this is why I had put it to the side. And so if you can give me a new reason to look at it, then I get much more excited than if it's still essentially the same story, but you've changed sort of cosmetic details about it.
I actually had something that was in my inbox, and then she went through, she got some CPs, she went through an online contest, and suddenly it brought out all these amazing qualities that were always there. They were just buried in all this stuff that didn't need to be there. And thankfully, I hadn't rejected it. I was like, okay, there's a lot of good stuff here. I was thinking about it. I was like, well, let me think about some ways to like give her some edits, right? So I was just sitting on it, you know, as you do when you're like, I'm not totally sure. I'll move on to something more urgent because there's so much that's so urgent. And she was like, hey, I have this revision. And I ended up taking it on because it just sparkled after this. And so that's a little bit different. I would say that if I gave a specific reason and you have changed, that one thing that I said, this is why I said no. Like if, for example, I'm like, I'm creeped out by angels, which I am. I think they're terrifying. If you took them all out and you're like, it's zombies instead, I mean, I'm giving paranormal examples. I'm not saying that, like, you know, yay, paranormal. I'm just saying, like, as an example, that could make the difference. I think in general, I usually say no to revisions. In general, it's people are like, hey, I'm going to requery this. You saw this before. Here's the difference. Unless that one line of, like, here's what's different is really succinct and really good, I'm probably going to say no. But, again, fear of missing out, I would want to see that email that's like, here's what I've changed.
And that's different than if that agent has requested that R&R. Like, if I request an R&R, I expect to see that manuscript again. And I will often ask for an exclusive because that's those are my notes.
Oh, an exclusive revision.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens on the editor side too, where, you know, if you see a manuscript or a proposal that's really interesting, but it's just not quite there, the agent will get an R&R, and then that will usually be on exclusive, but not always.
Well, it's a lot of work to go through a manuscript. You don't want someone to be like, I took so many of your notes. They're amazing, and I'm going with someone at Writer's House. You know, like.
I mean, that happens
all the time.
All the time. You know, you're like.
Amanda's nodding. She's like, I've lost so much to Writer's House.
Oh, Writer's House. Writer's House doesn't know that we have a feud, but we do.
We don't have a feud. We're just like,
I'm angry at a lot of people who don't know that I'm angry at them. So I'm like, you stole this thing. They're like,
you know,
I want your list, or, you know, whatever.
See, like, I feel like there's this one book that, like, it was like 5 years ago, and I'm still sad that I lost this book. But I spoke with the agent who got it today, and she's so lovely. I can't hate her.
That's the double-edged sword of that.
It is. It's like I'm still really sad, but I like her. So
yeah. And you're like, well, fine.
So publishing struggle is so real.
We have a question for Amanda. Okay, we have a question for Amanda. The question is essentially, how is the editorial process different for nonfiction? There are lots of people who think they'd like to try and dabble in nonfiction, particularly the narrative nonfiction, and they're just curious, like, what the editorial process might be like if it's different than the fiction process.
It's somewhat different, and I mean, from the get-go, it's different in that what I get is a proposal and not a full manuscript, which saves me a lot of reading time, which is nice. But also, it's just, I would say it's a little more structural editing. I mean, it's obviously like we'll do the line edits if it needs it, but it's usually, I mean, what I do is mostly kind of practical nonfiction, but I think even with narrative nonfiction, it's going to be a lot of, this chapter belongs here instead of here, like this chunk goes here, and how is the reader going to follow this? So it's not necessarily super different, but I think you're moving and changing things for slightly different reasons.
Awesome. And agents, are there any differences in how you want writers to handle sending you their nonfiction projects?
Well, we want a proposal in sample chapters versus the whole thing. I think with fiction it's easier to move stuff around and be like, okay, well, you're going to write this thing. I can get a sense of how you're going to write this thing. Platform super important. With fiction, it's all about the narrative arc.
Right. And we'll see the narrative arc in the proposal, but in nonfiction, it's just a little bit easier to sort of get a feeling from the proposal of how things will be. Whereas I would never want to see a fiction manuscript on proposal because I don't know how it's going to make me feel. I don't know how it's going to turn out. There's a lot of sort of things that could go wrong if I saw like a YA manuscript on proposal. Not that there aren't people that do that, but it, especially for debut authors, it's a little bit scary. So you just want to make sure that they have all of their words planned out. But in nonfiction, it's a little more, I don't want to say formulaic, but it's a little bit, you can see that there's a structure that you don't have to really make up. You have to, you have the introduction, and then you talk about the technique or the diet or the whatever, and then you wrap it up. It's a little more.
Usually each chapter is kind of a unit you can move around.
Yeah.
Whereas
It's like if the structure of a nonfiction book doesn't work when you get it, you can fix that. If a structure of a fiction book doesn't make sense when you get it,
hard.
It's a lot harder to fix.
That's really hard. Yeah.
That's actually a very good way of putting it. I was like, the thing, and
drag and drop.
All right. Okay, so this is kind of a long question that was from the emails. I'm going to try to pare it down a little bit. Essentially, it's somebody that they've got a full request out with, and they thought that this was a very reputable agent from a reputable agency with lots of sales, lots of bestsellers, et cetera, et cetera. But then when they got a little bit more diggy in the Googles and whatnot, they found some schmagenty signs, and I have to point this out because I've never heard anything like this before, but lots of posts on Absolute Right and whatnot. But one writer even went so far as to write a memoir about her negative experience with the publishing industry, all because of her year with this agency.
Whoa!
I know, that's hardcore, and I gotta find that memoir, like...
But this agent does have legitimate sales?
Well, the agency does, and they had no reason to think that the agent was a schmagent because of the agency. So the question is a handful of disgruntled vocal ex-clients normal for any literary agency that's been around a while?
Well, to some degree, yes, because there are going to be hurt feelings. The stakes are so high. There's so little control.
So personal.
Yes, it's so personal. You're trying to create this thing together, and frankly, that's kind of magic. Like creating something with another person and putting it in the hands of someone who loves it and can get it past the sales team, that is completely wonderful and sometimes rare. I mean, it's something that we're doing on faith because we love it, right? It doesn't always work out, and when it doesn't work out, people get hurt. And when people get hurt, they take to the internet. So I would say that every so often, bad things happen to good people go on the internet, bad things are said about good people.
Yeah.
Depends what they're saying. If they're like, oh, by the way, they're charging us reading fees, that's an issue.
I'm going to say it really depends on what the charges are against this supposed schmagent. Like, if they're not getting back to people, that's one thing. If they're
define
money,
getting back to people.
I mean, it's so nebulous. It's so, if they're lying and saying that they took books out on submission that they did not. Or
why would anyone do that? I hear that all the time. Why would anyone do that?
No, I've had several people leave their agents for that exact reason.
No, but exactly, like, why would that even be a thing? That doesn't help anybody.
No, because an agent gets overwhelmed, or they fall behind, or they're not a very good agent. Like, I don't know.
Okay, we're all crazed, but like that's not going to do anyone any good.
No, and it's harmful to the author, certainly.
Well, yeah, holds them in limbo.
Yeah,
oh God,
but I mean, yeah, it sort of for me it depends on what the charges are, and if they're at a reputable agency that is doing good work, maybe talk to some of the other agents' clients and make sure that they're on the up and up as well.
Though of course they're going to refer you to the people who they know will say good things.
I've always found it really helpful to talk to because the agents always refer you to their really nice clients that are going to butter you up and be your new best friend, which is fine. But I find it extremely helpful to track down a few people who used to be with that agent and ask why they left. Because I've had people who've left on really great terms, and they've said, oh, this agent was actually really good, we just weren't a good fit, super wanted it to work, here's why it didn't. And then I've had, no, seriously, girl, frickin' run, you know? Like, it just depends on who you get. But I find that there's a little bit more honesty.
Wait, run, why?
Sorry,
wait, no, we're on live TV.
Because they're terrible communicators.
Hang around for the after show. I can pass you some things. But I mean, there's some really dramatic stuff that happens in publishing that people don't ever talk about because they don't want to besmirch somebody's reputation or they don't want to get known for like starting some shiz. But I mean, it's still a thing that happens, and I just feel like you get a more honest profile if you combine sort of people who used to work for the agent or used to work with the agent and then people who also work with the agent combined. Because if you find a negative thing online, it's going to be there because that person was probably really pissed when they wrote it, and it's not going to be as balanced as if you just call somebody up out of the blue or email and say, hey, can you tell me why you left this person?
Yeah, it's like the product reviews where they're like, oh, UPS dropped it and it bounced. My electronic doesn't work. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, no, if you just ask somebody out of the blue, you're going to get a lot more sensible thing if you try to find something that was written in a moment of angry passion.
Right, or like, I mean, and again, it goes back to why people leave agents. Sometimes there's not good communication. Sometimes, you know, they spike their drink with poison. It varies.
And that agent's currently in jail.
And that agent is currently
reporting
in jail.
live publicly from jail.
Yeah, I would say, like, if your agent is currently incarcerated,
oh God,
I would recommend looking for a new agent.
I swear we're
Because
not
they're
in
going to
jail.
have limited access to
Emails and whatnot.
But there are so many reasons you can leave a person and so many reasons you can be angry with them. I mean, like, sometimes they just think you're one thing and you're not. Like, don't you think that there's someone who's like, if someone were to interview all of a person's exes, they would not come up with, like, a lot of good stuff, you know?
Oh, I literally almost threw up a little bit at the thought of that. Don't ever anyone do that to anyone.
Well, for example, I had a client who we parted ways because she thought I was not communicating very well, and I was like, I literally just moved, and you broke up with me while I'm unpacking my boxes. So
that's savage. That's some savage shit.
I think this is okay. I think this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, how could you do this to me? I'm moving, for God's sakes. But then I was like, you know what? You know, that she needed more attention than I could give her in that moment.
Amanda's really glad she's an editor right now.
Amanda.
But
I
I
always
also
appreciate the front lines.
I also think that it's got to be really important that writers are willing to communicate if something's not going the way that they want it to go. Like the fact that somebody broke up with you while you're like there should have been way more conversation before I'm breaking up with you, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's really, you know, hard
In
for some people to be direct, I guess, but like conversation is the key to like making a relationship.
Some people are too direct.
Well, I myself like to be very honest, and some people find that very off-putting. But I also like to be very kind, and some people find that off-putting. They want an agent that's going to be really hard on them, that's going to be, you know, a real ball buster, and I'm just not really that way.
Some people want someone who
7
yells at
billion
editors and slams like their fist on the desk.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
like, you will give me $1 million. Bam.
Or
Oh,
else.
wait, sorry, $1 million not enough. Bam. It just went up. Bam.
But you know what? And it's also really good. Just reach out to people. Like, I mean, I make it a point to try to know about agents. So if you have questions about agents that you're querying to, ask me questions and I'll help you. Somebody else who's really good is Dahlia Adler. She knows everything about everyone. That's why her hair is so big. It's full of secrets. Brenda
wait,
Drunk
I mean, I
is
have a lot of
an amazing resource to go to for anything. She knows everybody and everything about everybody, and she's such a kind person and would do anything to help somebody get the information that they need to make the right choice. So just look around the writing community. So not necessarily just the clients of that person or former clients of that person, just we are all here to help.
Aw.
Yes, baby.
Aw.
Right, baby. has lots.
I think she starts every time she knows I'm about to talk. So
She is so your daughter.
I was gonna say I think Jenny's been talking to me like just get him to stop talking too much. So I will ask the next question quickly and then I will remute myself. But it's gonna be a good one for both Amanda and the agents. How do you feel about books with cliffhangers from a debut author? Amanda, why don't you start?
I did.
Well, for me, I mean, I work in nonfiction, so it's not often an issue, so I can't speak to that from my own personal experience. But
Just see
nonfiction.
this diet book, and then
Raise that hammer, don't write it down, or wait, good. Next, on Home Improvement, in Dangerous.
But I assume, I mean,
How to Steal the Mona Lisa, or don't.
As funny as it was.
but yeah, I mean, I can't speak to that from my own personal experience.
With the Mona Lisa.
Amanda,
Yeah.
do you have some secrets behind that fridge of yours?
Well, I'm not showing you guys the full apartment.
There's a vault behind the ampersand.
No, she's looking at the Mona Lisa over her.
Yeah, it's right there.
That's why she can't do a panorama.
We're rolling over on you, baby. Sorry.
The police are going to confiscate PubTalkTV as evidence.
No!
We are on a roll tonight, professional as hell.
Woo, more drinks.
Okay, Rosie, why don't you take Ted's question? What do you think about cliffhangers, projects that are really set up to have sequels from debut authors?
Is the question, do I like cliffhangers or do I like cliffhangers from debut authors?
That. Someone's sending you a project with a massive cliffhanger and they're brand new. And
I don't really know what being a debut novelist has to do with it.
I guess if
no
I'm
guarantee of another book deal. Is it okay to publish something that you think is only going to have one book or may only have one book?
Well, in publishing, we always say, this should stand alone and have series potential. So if you look at Harry Potter or Percy Jackson or any of these big series, the books can stand alone.
right.
But they get picked up for series because they're very popular and they make good series. I personally don't like true cliffhangers, but that's just because I don't want to wait 9 months to a year and a half to read the next book. So often what I do is I wait till all the books come out and then I binge read them, which is
It's me.
not what you should do. You should pre-order all of your books.
Yes, very important.
To hike up
Jessica's
the sales.
face, though.
I like the puppy.
It's Pepper Ray.
Hi.
Hi, Pepper Ray.
The puppy has a cliffhanger for you.
Yes, she does. She was the one who made the very famous appearance last show.
No, she's not cat butt.
She was dog butt. You guys, you twisted it. It was dog butt. And our cats are also fluffy. You wouldn't have been able to see anything anyway.
Mm.
I can turn it around and prove it. I mean, if you need a refresher, but I figured.
No, I think
Jessica,
one
how do
butt
you
was
feel
enough.
about cliffhangers?
Oh, that's right. That's when Jessica left us alone. Hi, Jessica. Sorry.
Okay, true confession time. I haven't.
Nothing happened weird on the last episode at all. It was.
I'm
super
sure
dope.
you were perfectly
It was
lovely.
very boring.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure it
we
was.
have another question.
Yes.
This one is kind of specific, so I'm going to paraphrase a little bit too. It looks like a small press made an offer on this manuscript, and they, gave them their, relatively small advance, and they started the process, and things just kept getting weirder and weirder, and eventually the author said, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to pay back the advance, and I'm going to take my rights back, and I'm going to query this again. Question is, how much of this conversation needs to be in the query letter? Like, do you need to say that it was picked up and then you pulled it, and how do you handle this delicate situation?
If it wasn't published,
Right.
then it's still a manuscript in progress.
Still a debut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say that for most awkward things, you can bring it up in the offer call.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many awkward things that could come up, or things that the agent needs to know that they don't necessarily need to know right away, but you don't want to be that person who's lying. You don't want to be that person who signs someone on false pretenses, both for them and for you, because you don't want to constantly have that worry of, like, what if they find out?
No, I don't want to find out 6 months later.
Oh, that's bad.
When I'm about to go on submission with your manuscript.
Oh, that's really bad.
That would be bad. Wow.
You can't go to this house because they already saw it, and they paid money for it, and then I gave that money.
And that's one of those situations where it's like, if only you just told them, it'd be okay. The fact that you didn't
is now
okay.
a red flag and is now a fireable offense.
Oof.
That would be bad.
That's bad.
I mean, to me, like, you lied to me. You straight up withheld important
I would not feel
business
good about
information.
I would not feel good about that.
About firing someone for that?
No, I would not feel good about them not telling me. Would I fire
yeah.
them? I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But, like, oof.
For me, it's a red flag at least, a fireable offense at most.
I mean,
yeah.
I know the first time Jessica and I talked on the phone, that was part of that process. Is there were a couple things like that made no sense to put in a query when you have a limited amount of time and you want to get across the information about your book, and maybe you touch on something briefly. But yeah, when you have that hour-long phone call with an agent for the first time, like, you definitely have the window of opportunity if you need to say anything like, hey, I couldn't put this in my query, but, like, and there's no reason not to do that. So if you want to have a good relationship with that person and open communication, I think you're both exactly right. Like, like any other relationship, don't start off lying, even if it's just a lie of omission. Like, that can be just as bad, because people talk and people know each other, and you don't want someone else to be the one telling your agent that 6 months from now.
And you have to be so open to create with somebody. If you feel like anyone's holding anything back, and I feel like inevitably you will sense that, then it's just going to hurt that process. And I'll be honest here, there are times when people tell me things that are like, in that moment, it's that offer call, and they know they have to come clean with me right away. There have been times people have told me things that have really scared me, and I've had to be like, okay, I love this enough that I'm willing to take that risk. And that's real. Then you know that you really like it, right? If you're willing to, like, go through something hard or confront something really scary, or something that to you personally just happens to be something you're really afraid of, to, like,
trying to sell a YA quiet novel. I mean, that's like
I'd still try that. That's not that scary. That's not that scary. But, you know, sometimes there's that one thing where it's like you feel like the world is conspiring against you to, like, mess with you, and you're like, you know what? I love this book so much. It is worth it.
I also would like to point out that this is why you should not submit to small presses and query agents at the same time.
Ooh, yeah.
That is also really annoying, because then people try and use the offer from the small press to get an agent, which feels weirdly like, I don't know, like bribery, or like trying to leverage an offer out of me when it's like it just feels.
Have a deadline.
Well, obviously I have a deadline, but also, like, you know, now we have limited options whenever we go out on sub. Like, it's just different goals.
Well, it's like either burn a bridge and take your chances, or This is why I always start at the top. I'm like, first choice people first. See what happens. Amanda would be in the top choice, by the way.
Obviously.
We like you very much. Yes. So first choice people first, then see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Amanda again is like, I'm so glad I'm not an agent.
Definite first choice. Just saying. Pointing that out.
I mean,
TS is amazing.
Oh yeah.
We only have top quality people on PubTalkTV.
Oh yes,
obviously.
and pets.
So many pets. Here's a question for Amanda. What is the nature of a relationship between a nonfic editor and an author?
I wouldn't say it's that. I mean, I obviously haven't worked a lot in in fiction editing. A lot of my internships were actually in fiction editing, but I wouldn't say it's significantly different than the relationship between a fiction editor and the author. I'm still working very closely with the author on the voice and, making sure that we create like the best final product that we can together. I think there's probably the biggest time that it's different is when it comes to the marketing publicity stuff, because nonfiction is often so kind of platform based. There's a lot more like, I think they, like a first time nonfiction author is going to be called on to do quite a bit of just like interviewing and radio stuff that necessarily maybe like a fiction author might not necessarily have to do. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's the same. We all have the same goal, whether you're a fiction editor or a nonfiction editor. It's just to make the best final book that you can and work really closely with the author, develop a good relationship, make sure you're communicating, you're compromising, and just have an open, creative, collaborative process. At least that's how I try to go into it whenever I'm working with someone.
Yeah, sounds great. Mm-hmm. You're right. She is top class.
That was awesome. Okay, agents, we have another question. This is an anonymous question from the inbox. It looks like the question says, my agent tells me that she loves my work and is actively submitting it, but after a year of representation, I have no way to be sure. She has not shared any rejections or submission information, even after multiple requests. For all I know, my material could as easily be at 50 publishers as it could be at 0. Whoa. And the follow-up to that is that she doesn't want to be one of those people that like doubts the professionals who are working for her. So what does she do?
Okay, first of all, why in the world would anyone like say they're submitting something and not submit it? It doesn't make sense.
Because there are schmagents.
But like, why would you do that? What's the point? No one's making any money. Why would you do that?
That would make me so uncomfortable. And like, if this is an industry standard kind of thing, please correct me. But like, to not know where I was being subbed and to not have any of the feedback on any of the submissions, I would freak out.
No, if anything, I probably err the other way. I'm like, here's your letter, here's your list, here's like every rejection and every word of it ever. Tell me if I'm telling you too much. I'm an oversharer. This is perhaps a problem sometimes, but in agenting, maybe it makes people feel better.
I always, one of the things that I sort of know about myself and like to give to my clients as an option is I ask them, how do you want to receive feedback? I have a client who wants to hear only negative news once a month. Once a month. So she's not always like, oh my God, it's an email, it's a rejection. So, she can like get on with her life. Ouch. The good news, yes, send away. A lot of my clients want to hear news as it comes, whether it's good or bad. Mm-hmm. Most want the feedback directly from the editor so that if we go into revisions later or when we start on a new project, they have more feedback to work with. But I will always, the thing that really concerned me about that question was if she's asked for the information multiple times and she's not getting it, then that's a concern for me.
Oh. That's so, I still don't get why anyone would do that. But
because it's like so fancy to be an agent, but like it doesn't really.
Okay, but where's the money coming from? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, well, there are lots of ways to earn schmagency money.
Oh, that's so gross. Oh, that makes me icky. I don't like it.
It's okay, Summer, just wash it off.
So do you have any words of advice? Do you think that she should schedule a phone call like real quick?
Yeah. Or even, I mean, might not in this situation get a phone call, but if it's just like, hey, what's my list? Want to know what my options are. What has everyone said? Can I make any edits because of what everyone has said? I would like to know by this date, a couple weeks from now. Would like to know what my options are.
Yeah, where do you see the submission going?
Should I write something else? Like what should I do now? Like frame it as what should I do now?
And
instead of like, where's my list?
Instead of like, I think you're a schmeagent. Yeah. Don't do that.
No.
That's going to be off-putting. But if your agent continues to be shisty, then like,
girl, run.
Oh, I don't understand.
No, God, that makes me so uncomfortable. Like I can't imagine. And I mean, especially if she's asked, and I mean, if she's asked in the way, I'm assuming this is a girl. I don't know if it's a girl, but if she's asked in the way that you just said, and you're getting nowhere, I'm not. Again, I'm not an agent. I can say whatever I want. Girl, run.
I mean, I guess I could understand if someone hadn't forwarded something for like a couple of days.
Oh, well, I get behind because my inbox fills up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, did I send this to you? I'm sending it to you now. And they're like, you didn't, but now you did.
But
I'm like,
I want people to see the feedback.
For a year and to not have any feedback for a year, that would be terrifying.
I think that's a real problem.
I want people to see the feedback because then they can see, A, if I said the same thing, it's not just me. B, if there's a pattern, hey, there's a pattern. And C, I sent it out.
You actually put it on submission.
I mean, there have been situations where I have a client whose previous agent may or may not have sent out one of her previous projects, and so I just CC'd her on everything because it's like proof.
I will call the agent that they the editor that they supposedly submitted to, and I say, because this happened to me very early in my agenting career. These clients came to me and said, we're clients of your agency, but this person has not put out our book. And so I called all of the editors, and there was like a list of 10 editors that had the book on submission, and I think one of them had it.
Eesh.
And so from my perspective, all I could do was to make sure that these clients were now in the loop on everything so I could regain their trust both in me and in agenting and in traditional publishing, because it's behavior like that really screws it all up for the rest of us.
Well, and it also makes it, I mean, it's like I'm seeing this point where it's like, does someone think that if it's been 48 hours and I haven't forwarded a letter from an editor? And I'm like, no, I'm just behind. I need more coffee.
No, there's a difference between
really busy getting poisoned.
Yes, that does take time.
Give your agents time to poison each other, guys. It's really important. It's just a consideration thing. Do unto others.
To give time for the poison to kick in.
Ted, do you have a question, sir?
I do have a question from Twitter, from our friend Roseanne Foster on Twitter, who we know well.
Hi.
And I think we could answer, unlike my first one that I kind of shouted over the baby. I think this one is a good one for both editor and agent. And you can kind of fill in pages / queries / pitch from an agent. But what are the biggest things that make you fall in love with sample pages, queries, a pitch from an agent? What's the things that make you say, wow, okay, I gotta read this. I gotta read more. I don't know if
I could quantify that, I would make $1 million.
Yeah. It is
oh, no, I couldn't because of the AR, but
that's true.
So what are some things that you like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you want to start on that one?
Formula.
Yeah, Amanda, you want to?
Yeah, Amanda.
Well, I think I have an easier time with it because it's gone through you guys before it gets to me. So I think one person has that aha moment before it even gets to me, which is always helpful. But I mean, it varies by editor, at least from my perspective, it varies by editor what gets someone's eyes to light up kind of when they see something. But I guess it would just, it's, strong writing, it's a strong platform if you're doing nonfiction. And I just like, what I always respond to is just a really authentic voice. I can always tell when someone is just being very genuine, whether it's an illustrated work or they're writing about, they're writing a self-help book. It's very clear from the get-go when they really care about it and when it's coming from a very genuine place. That always kind of hits for me, because authentic writing is always better writing. Because we're all just we're communicating, we're trying to touch somebody else with whatever we're putting out. So it's always going to be better when it's authentic. But no, it's always just one of those things that you read it and it's like, oh, this is, about whatever, it's, a parenting book, but then there's like this extra thing that makes you go, oh. And it's in that moment when you're just getting the pitch and you go, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's that kind of light bulb moment, but it's kind of unquantifiable, I think, and it's very different for every person.
I agree with Amanda. I really love a strong hook and a strong angle. If I can be talking to an editor at a bar and say it's Titanic meets Seal's Kiss from a Rose.
Wow, that was specific. Wow.
If I can, or if I can say, like,
Bridges of Madison County meets Jaws.
Leo DiCaprio would win another Oscar for this. Like, if I can, like, Bridges of Madison County
meets Jaws.
Meets Jaws. With underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, with baskets.
Underwater.
Because Jaws.
The sharks are the underwater.
The sharks are weaving.
A shark must find this basket, or else.
But if I can see that strong hook, or I have those great comp titles, that's really gonna draw me in. And then what gets me to finish the manuscript, which gets me to finish the query and then request the manuscript in the first place, is that voice, just as Amanda said.
Mm-hmm.
And for platform, for nonfiction, like, basically, Amanda is going to be really nice, and she's going to say, like, oh, of course you don't have to have, like, tons of platform. Like, oh, no, you only have to have, like, 10,000 Twitter followers or whatever.
Only.
And
yeah, that's the thing.
On my end, I'm like, come on, bring me the platform.
The action.
Yeah, bring me all the action. But, in my class that I teach for Gotham, I always say there's no such thing as too much platform. Most people bring me a project and either it's not a great fit or the project is great, but they don't have enough platform. And on my end, again, Amanda's going to not say, like, oh, no, I reject solely on platform, but it's true. I've gotten passes because they're like, this project is great, but in nonfiction, platform really does matter. So I'm going to look at your Instagram followers and I'm going to look at your Twitter followers and say, like, do they have the network to reach people?
Okay, just to be the annoying person that's going to make everyone question themselves, I have sent out a book, and like maybe half the editors are like, what an amazing platform, and half are like, not enough platform. And they were big 5 editors, all of them.
Yeah. Well, what big platform is sort of nebulous.
Yeah, it is.
Like, all of publishing
think it was
is a
just
subjective
numbers.
term.
Yeah, you think numbers would be objective,
yeah.
but they're not.
I think summer wins. Like, even in publishing, hard data is subjective.
We're bad at math.
We're bad at data. We're bad at math.
I can't remember who I was talking to earlier today, but we said something like publishing is like being on a really, really fast roller coaster, except half of the track is missing, and the only way to get across the track is to close your eyes and just go runaway train, except the actual car is on fire, and the track is on fire, and you're on fire, and the track is going straight into hell.
Good thing you're a fireman. Who's
Not to put too fine a point on it.
Good thing the car is being driven by a fireman, and
an angel, even if it's terrifying.
even if you're going into hell, you're already on fire, so you're halfway there.
But it's
And
like
you've got some marshmallows to roast.
when you make it over that big jump, like, woohoo! You know what I mean? So it's
Then what? What do you land in?
Oh, but see, what they don't tell you is once
an
you get
underwater
over that
basket
jump,
weaving class.
once you get over that jump, there's like 10 feet of track before you have to go over the next.
Oh yeah, you're like, wait, I'm
touch.
still on track. I'm still on track.
I'm
When's
still-
something gonna happen? Still on track. Still on track. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still on track. Still waiting.
Still on fire.
Oh, and I
Still on
fell
track.
off. Okay. Game over.
Out of boredom.
All right, I have a cute question from Twitter about middle grade. My upper MG, work in progress, has a strong crush with lots of feels, building to a kiss. Can it still be middle grade? Thank you. Oh, and that is from Sarah Floyd.
How is that
Hi,
not
Sarah
middle
Floyd.
grade?
Yeah, a kiss is
Is
fine.
it 'cause
How
of
is
the
that not
smooching?
everyone's experience in that age?
Sorry,
I know
Amanda.
nothing about middle grade.
I'm being graphic with my kissing over here.
My lady.
Yeah, kissing is fine for middle grade, especially if it's upper middle grade. If you're like 12 to 14, yeah, that's.
I don't know. I don't want to get into like kids these days, but like, dude, I think that's fine.
Those youngins, you.
Having way more fun than I did at that age.
Oh, totally. Oh, these kids these days with these ripped off shirts like they're from the 80s. Oh, good God.
I didn't wear a shirt like that today. Shut up.
I
I don't know what you're talking about.
don't either. It's not like I own any of those.
No, not at all. That's shut up.
You shut up.
Okay,
You're the one with all the.
Charles, you got a question?
Yes, let's go to this next question. It's sort of a two-part question. The first part of it is for Amanda and is sort of like, what's the timeline for a typical nonfiction project from the time that it's sort of like bought by you and then like I guess to the shelf? And then the other part of the timeline question is for the agents, and it's about how long is too long if you're working on a revision for your agent. So a couple timeline questions. Amanda, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I'd say 12 to 18 months is pretty typical. Usually our contract standard at Penguin Random House is, I think, 18 months from acceptance of the completed manuscript is usually our like final deadline. But typically we're saying like about a year from delivery of the final manuscript, we're going to try and have a book out. Obviously, we want to give you time to write it because nonfiction, we're not buying the finished book, so we're not going to demand it in like 2 months. Usually it's, like we give you, well, it depends on the book, but, 6 or so, it depends again on how far you are into it, all of that. But usually it's about a year. You'll write it, I'll take it in, do edits, write you an edit letter, talk it over with you, you'll do revisions, I'll get it back, look it over one more time, as long as everything's good, that's when we'll pass it to press, and like things, then that's when kind of a lot of stuff starts rolling at the same time. And all of a sudden you're getting cover comps and meeting with your publicist and all of that, and it gets a little bit overwhelming.
So what is your typical turnaround time on the revision part?
I try to do it within a month.
That's so fast.
It really is, wow.
I'm not getting so many manuscripts at once, if all goes to plan and everyone turns in on time, that I'm not, I try to space things out so that I have the time to just kind of sit with one thing. And also I don't want to leave someone sitting forever with it, just waiting for me to get notes back. So yeah, it's usually about a month, and then I try to, I'll give the author about a month to do the revisions, depending again on how extensive they are. If they're super extensive, it'd be longer.
And what kind of revisions? If it's just like a quick
change a
polish.
comma,
Yes,
get
exactly.
rid of the character.
If I did line edits, then it's good. Right.
We're actually going to turn this diet book
Into light of fantasy.
Yeah.
And the diet, all angel feathers.
We're going to pass it over to Razorbell, and they're just going to take it from here.
Liz will have no problem with that. It'll be
No,
fine.
no, not at all. Yeah, we're just going to, turn this, how to build a house book into romance erotica.
Yeah.
Without a house, out in the open.
But
then they get arrested.
Oh.
Sorry, Amanda.
Tension.
Okay, so this goes right into the question by @CaddyB3 on Twitter. Is there a time limit for your R&R? When you are doing a revision for an agent, whether it's a pre-signed revision or a post-signed revision, how long is too long to work on this revision?
Depends what it is. Tell them how long.
For an R&R before signing, before you're my client, I'm actually working on writing this up. If I see it before 2 weeks, I'm going to be very suspicious that you did not go deep enough, that you did not go really and research and consider my notes, because I'm usually going to, if I'm asking for an R&R, it's going to be very extensive notes, or it's going to require a lot of intensive changes. And they just can't be done in 2 weeks. You have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to poop, you have to do all these things.
Pooping is for quitters.
Require not being I'm not gonna get invited back to PubTalkTV for season 3. That's for damn sure.
Season finale.
Once you're a client, it sort of depends on my schedule. What I'm sure that Jessica and Amanda can back me up. I seem to get manuscripts all at the same time. Like, people just send me 5 manuscripts at the same time, and I'm like, holy crap, I have so much to do.
That always happens to me too.
And so I again, one of my styles of communication is like, I'm so glad you sent this. I have 4 manuscripts in my queue. It might take me a little bit longer to get to yours than if you were in the first position. And then people aren't, waiting on bated breath for me to turn it around very quickly. They're okay, I have some time.
I try to give people estimates, and I try to get them to give me estimates. So, for example, today I asked a team that's working together on a project. I don't want to give too much away, but it's awesome. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to blow my nose.
Oh, excellent. So I was like, okay, when are we going to have this draft? All right, end of May. Okay, so you're gonna send it to me on a Monday. I'm going to have a talk with you on a Thursday. Just a way to schedule it. I know that's ridiculously type A. This is super controlling. I apologize to the team in advance, but they're going with it. So yeah, I mean, it's just the sort of thing you need to plan everything out, so you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to get it this time. We're going to spend a couple weeks on revision, then we're going to probably send it out in early June. I've already sent out some feelers to people in that genre of like, hey, who do you know who wants something like this? This is a way to plan ahead. Amanda, you're nodding. Yes, tell us.
Yes. I mean, just in general, my thought is, it goes back to what I was saying about, I try to be super communicative as an editor too, of I have, in addition to editing responsibilities, you have meetings, you have XYZ things that you need to do for the publisher, for your other editors. So I think
you need to go outside, get some vitamin D.
So it's just important to keep the lines of communication open, and just if I'm running behind, it's not like I want to assure any writer that I and I think most people are not forgetting when we owe you things. We remember when something's due to you, and I will try my very best to email you if I know I'm going to be late and say it's going to be Monday instead of Friday. I'm sorry, and here's why.
And it doesn't mean that we don't like your manuscript anymore.
No.
It doesn't mean that we
no.
hate you as a person. It just means my cat is throwing up.
No, I always worry people think it's I could have manuscripts, or I'm on the couch eating bonbons watching TV. I always assume people think I'm on the couch eating bonbons watching TV. I don't know what a bonbon is. I assume it's a spherical chocolate.
It's ice cream with chocolate on it.
But is it spherical?
I thought it was like a truffle.
Okay.
I thought it was like a little cream puff pastry. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but
does anybody actually know what a bonbon is? Housewives have been accused of eating that shit for 40 years. I don't have a clue what it is.
No, even earlier, because it's in Chicago the musical.
Yeah, like a little musical.
Okay, 10 points for whoever tells us what an actual bonbon is.
Yes, 10 bonbons.
Twitter, show us what you got.
Come through for us, Twitter.
Can you see that? That's a bonbon.
Wow. How do you have that?
What is that?
I googled it on my phone.
That's like a
They're like truffles.
Yeah, that looks like cupcakes.
I call
Or like
shenanigans.
smashed.
They're
You know
definitely.
what? That looks like smashed cinnamon rolls. I call shenanigans.
Yeah, it looks like shenanigans.
Th-
Cinnamon
This
roll right
this
now.
came up
It's
too. I
like
don't know what.
German cinnamon
Oh my
rolls.
God!
It came up too. So I don't know.
Step away
Okay.
from the brony hole there, buddy.
Are you a secret brony, Ted?
He is so
He's
brony.
a not so secret brony.
This is more like the spherical.
That makes
Spherical.
more sense. That makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Chocolates.
You can't eat
I
that
like
many of those.
spherical chocolate.
Senior
you
token
can't
male
eat
correspondent in the field getting answers.
Oh, that's
Thank
right.
you.
Right. Slow
That's right.
Doing the hard work.
This is
Male
actually this is Bonbon
token
brand. So that's like real.
correspondent, male token correspondent, male token correspondent, male token correspondent.
Oh my
Hey,
God, I just scared the shit out of my dogs.
Ozma Bryant on Twitter came through in the clutch. She's got a really nice looking GIF going on Twitter.
Oh, I love the gifts. I'm such a
Mm.
whore for the
Thank
gifts.
you, Ozma. We love you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna watch this GIF for a while.
It's been really nice talking to you all. Have a great summer.
All right, Ted, do you
Not
have another
sexy,
question
though.
for us?
I do. This one, I remember having this exact thought process when I was looking for an agent. If you sent a query to one agent in an agency and haven't heard anything, is it safe to send to another agent in the same agency? The website for this particular agency was not specific about that. This comes from Kara, aka at Coffee is Love on Twitter.
That's a good question.
It is kind of things that keep conscientious writers up at night when they're querying, for sure.
I think it depends
yeah.
how long it's been. I think you
I
can
mean,
look
yeah.
at that agency's website and be like, okay, standard response time, add a third to that. After that, fair game.
Well, I mean, also as an agency, if we like a project but it's not a good fit for us, we will share.
What
Like,
if
we'll-
your server eats it?
I always say, have a good amount of time. I like, whatever the agent's response time plus a third. And just be honest. Like, I queried, Agent X, but they didn't respond, so now I'm querying you, Agent Y. And that way, like, I can turn and say, like, oh, Agent X, did you get this? And they'll be like, no, I love it. And I'll be like, oh, you were supposed to have it first. Or, like, no, I'm going to fight you in a cage match. Like, whatever.
Why the cages?
So all here for the cake.
There's-
God.
I don't know.
Never stop,
like-
never change.
You got to keep
Keep it contained.
Yeah, otherwise it spills out into the audience and it becomes a riot.
I have a random question about that, actually.
Can you
Does that make you look down on it at all? Thinking, okay, so this other agent had it and it wasn't wowy enough to, like, hook them in to at least read it? Does that,
I think
like,
they were
stick in you at all?
busy. I would just think they were busy.
I
Or
only ask that
maybe
because
like
that's something that I would freak out about by trying to talk to somebody else and they'd be like, oh my god, they're going to think I'm a big loser because the other person ignored me. So
Okay, I think anytime you don't hear from someone even peripherally related to publishing, assume they're busy
yeah.
for like 6 months. And then
No, it's true. I was listening
They
to
have
Chuck
no time.
Sammartino talk about when to follow up on a pitch for writing articles. And typically you're supposed to follow up every 3 months. And he used the example of this woman, she didn't follow up 3 months, she followed up 6 months. And the editor was so apologetic that it had gone on for 6 months that he read her query right away. So the key is to be conscientious that we are extremely busy. We're not trying to be jerks. We're not out to get you as a person. Sometimes, as Summer pointed out, it falls through the internet cracks. It doesn't get to us.
oh my gosh, no, there's
Whatever.
just the quantity is insane. It's like that game show where they like throw money in a little like cyclone, or when you're on Miracle on 34th Street and they're like dumping letters on the desk and you're like, I have one day to read all of these. It's just
That's why
ridiculous.
writers
Like, I mean,
feel
the fact
really
that we get back to like 95% of people is kind of amazing.
Oh, I don't. I have a no response means no.
Okay. I try to get back to people because I feel like my server is hungry and eats everything. What was that, Summer?
I said that was brutal. The no response means no.
But you know that if it's not a good fit, within 8 weeks, you're not. It's sort of the same thing of like you're not. I don't want to keep someone on the hook.
See, and I think, and that's fine. Like saying no response means no within 8 weeks. You have a countdown, you know. But I've seen a lot of agents saying no response means no
confined
ever.
amount of time.
And then literally, I remember once, a year and a half after I signed with my first agent, I got a rejection from a no response means no agent, and I'm like, really? Like, so that's your level of no response means no timeline? But like, I get busyness and stuff, but that was brutal.
Well, though I've also heard the story. An agent, contacted an editor, didn't respond. They had an offer. They accepted the offer. They published the book. And once the book was already published with a different house, an editor passed on it.
Yep. It's a thing.
Amanda's like, I'd never do that.
Amanda's like, that was me.
I would think Amanda would be super organized.
No.
I imagine
Amanda
Amanda has like color-coded folders. If she hasn't like digitized everything and it's perfect already.
Laugh is my favorite thing.
Yes.
I want to see Amanda's desk.
This is how I want to imagine Amanda.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ruin this illusion. I'm just gonna let it.
Can you imagine if everyone like posted a screenshot of their inbox? They'd look at mine and be like, it's multicolored, but there's way too much stuff in there.
My inbox, according to my phone, literally says, I don't know if you can see it, that I have almost 25,000 unread emails right now. So cry, squee, just.
Am I the
I'm not
only?
going to log into my query account because it would just be depressing. So that's why I tweet my hashtag JS query status.
I love when agents
really
do that. It's
behind.
so polite.
Am I the only person that like does inbox zero for their personal inbox?
No, that's zero. My husband has to have zero.
Well, because I have folders and like I categorize, so it's really just compartmentalizing the crap.
No. I would sooner do whole 30 than I would do inbox 0.
I wish I could. It is such a life goal. Oh,
No.
I strive.
I'm trying to get there, Kelsey.
No.
I can cartwheel in my inbox. It's amazing.
Shut up. Yeah, well, I can dive into my inbox and like a ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay, well, I can imagine myself as Buffy staking stuff as a fake exercise class that should totally be a franchise. But
My God, I would invest in that. Let's kick
know, seriously? Oh, you know what it should be? Okay, so we were talking about how there should be like a cheese and a like staking company. It'd be like Cheese Productions LLC.
Nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
I did. Yeah, I was like watching a cheese van go by today from Murray's Cheese, and I was like, yeah, fresh, stinky, whatever, and then like almost crashed into a doorman. It was fantastic. This was my morning.
We all have our priorities. The doorman would understand.
So
The
before
doorman would understand.
No, Kelsey's trying to rankle us.
Okay. So before Jessica gives away any more $1 million ideas, we're going to go ahead and call it on this wonderful episode of Pub Talk TV. So thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of me, Kelsey Mackey, and Ted, and Summer, and Jessica, and Rosie, and Amanda, thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next time, next season on Pub Talk TV.
Bye. Summer.